Call to order this work session for April the 20th, 2015. Roll call, Mr. Clerk.
This is Lucky. Commissioner Bowman.
Dominic, Johnson,
Present.
Williams, Lynn, Bowman,
Present.
Baker,
Here.
Gage Watts,
Here.
Escaday, Thibodeau,
Here.
Cox, Smith, Epperson.
Yeah.
Commissioner Baker, would you lead us in invocation? And Commissioner Dominic, if we can say pledge of allegiance. Would you please stand?
Please stand for prayer. Let us bow our heads. Father, we thank you, Lord God, for this day. We thank you for another opportunity, Father God, to make decisions for your people. We pray and ask that you would touch our hearts and our minds, that we will make the right decision for your people, as well as be on one accord. These blessings we ask in your Son, Jesus' name. Amen.
All face the flag and repeat after me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Are there any agenda additions? Don't see any. Citizen comments. Citizens who wish to address the commission must fill out a comment card and forward to the president, myself, or the clerk of the commission. Comments for any citizens will be limited to 3 minutes. First person I have up is Mr. Eric Hatfield. Okay. All right. Mr. Brian Molitor.
Fill out a card.
Brian Molitor, 2838 Lakeview Road, Shreveport, Caddo Parish. I've kind of got an issue going on in our area, which is the Lakeview subdivision, District 2. The problem we're having is a lot of the homes have started converting over to rental properties, and the people that are moving in are not taking care of their property. They're not keeping the grass cut. They're not keeping up we're on a canal. They're not keeping up their boathouses. Recently, with all the dry weather we've had, and then now all the rain, we've had trees falling, limbs falling. It's just turning into, it looks like a junk pile in most of these backyards. Not only that, the mosquito population there has just skyrocketed. I mean, I was out when it was freezing out here and getting infested with mosquitoes. I called a couple of times and they came out once. And my biggest complaint at that point was all the junk cars piling up in backyards. Well, they told the people you need to move the cars. All they did was move the cars into their driveway. So we still got the junk cars sitting there, unregistered, immobile vehicles. My neighbor has 5 of them sitting in their yard and in their front driveway that are not moving. And it's an eyesore. We try and keep our property up, keep it nice, and then you look at the next door house and it looks like it's falling apart, and it looks like Beverly Hillbillies moved in. So I don't know who to talk to about this, since I've made the calls I'm supposed to make and nothing's happening with it. So the Lakeview subdivision needs property standards checked. It seems to be getting a little bit out of hand. So that's pretty much all I got to say on that. Thank you.
Mr. Molitor.
Yes.
You can't call me yet, but you can get with our Public Works Director, Mr. Glass, and y'all can go over to the side and discuss the issues and some addresses.
Okay.
And we'll work on that.
Oh, awesome. Thank you.
But call your commissioner next time.
All right, I will do that.
Thank you, Mr. Brian.
Thank you.
Next person, James Hardaway.
Good afternoon.
Yep.
My name is James Hardaway. I'm the ex-internal auditor for Caddo Parish. I'm here today to broach a few issues to this body. 2 of them I'm required to escalate according to my professional standards, and one is the issue of equity. The first 2 issues is, one is issue that when I completed my report and submitted it, it was a deficiency that was discussed last week by Commissioner Tippero on a television news interview, and that's about the contracts, the vendor contracts with Caddo Parish. According to my findings, they're not being fully executed. The second is a finding that I had about the Department of Animal Services. They do not have a legitimate disaster recovery plan in accordance with the state laws. I am required by my profession to report these deficiencies to this body because when I reported them to Erica Bryant and President Wilson, they basically ignored them. So again, I'm required to report it to this body, and I'm also prepared to meet and discuss it in detail. And that leads to my third issue. When they ignored my deficiency, they also reneged on a contract that I had with them after I completed my services, and they refused to pay me for my services. So those are my three issues, and I'm prepared to meet with anyone from the commission to further discuss them.
Mr. Lucky, can you meet with this gentleman either in the back or in another one of the rooms to see exactly what issues he has?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Hardaway. Next person is Ms. D. Thompson. Give
Hello,
us your name and address.
D. Thompson, 8907 Hedges Drive, Shreveport, Louisiana, 71118. Okay. I just came to invite you guys to come to our annual Music in the Park, which is Saturday from 12 to 4. We are going to have music, food, face painting if you'd like to get your face painted. Anyway, all the foods and vendors that we could ask for. So we hope to see you there.
Ms. Thompson, what park?
It's going to be at Southern Hills Park.
Okay. Just want to let everybody else know. I see it on the card, but
Thank you.
This coming Saturday?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Bouncing houses.
Time again?
Oh, it's at from 12 to 4.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you.
thanks for coming, Ms. Thompson. Next person is Ellen Winnington. Please give us your name and address.
Ellen Whittington, it's 17525 Highway 71, Ida, Louisiana. We actually live in Myra, but the address is Ida.
Okay, and is that Mr. Powell with you?
Yes,
Okay, he needs to give us his name.
same
and
thing, same address.
Okay, but he needs to say it in the microphone.
I'm John Powell, 17525, Ida, Louisiana.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead.
We're actually having an animal control issue, and this issue started a year ago this June. Have some neighbors that their dogs tried to get me and my horse through our fence. We're scared of these dogs. We've called animal control multiple times. Animal control's come out. One of the dogs actually got through our fence and tried to kill one of our dogs Christmas. We had to shoot that dog. So ultimately, we're having problems out of the neighbors with this too. But since March 22nd, I have made at least nine calls to animal control, some of which because I've not gotten returned calls. They come out and they go back there, but they're not getting anything accomplished. And this has been going on for over a year. Well, it will be a year in June, excuse me. They have taken pictures of how the dogs are trying to get through our fence. They've seen the dogs out. They've witnessed the dogs out. I have video, and I'm getting a real resistance from animal control when I call. I actually feel like I'm the one being put on trial, basically, for lack of better terms. And I just feel like what they're doing is not effective, and it's kind of making a real situation for us. And we just feel like they need to do their job.
I mean, I don't have anything to add. That's basically it.
I gave y'all copies of
I'd like for them
everything.
to do their job, and I don't know exactly what that is, but it's got to be more than what they're doing.
Mr. Harris, would you meet with them in the back so that you can find out exactly what's going on and
Report back to us.
report back at either later today or Thursday? Thank you, Ms. Whittington and Mr. Powell. Michael Newman?
Good afternoon. My name is Michael Newman. I live at 2915 Moss Point Drive. I'm a local architect here. I've been in business since 1973 in Shreveport, and I'm applying for a position on the Zoning Board of Appeals. I have forwarded to Mr. Epperson, I understand it's in your briefing today, my resume. And if you have any questions about that, I'd be glad to talk to you a minute. From my position as an architect, I represent clients and developers and people with zoning issues from time to time. And also as a homeowner in Caddo Parish since the early 70s, I've seen some of those sides. So I know that both sides have issues and desires that need some resolution. Having been through the process on that end of it a little bit, and also on from the residential side, I feel like I have an understanding of the position of most applicants that come before the Zoning Board of Appeals, and I offer my services for your consideration.
Thank
Do
you.
I have any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Newman. Next person is Mr. Alan Berry.
Good afternoon, I'm Alan Berry, 702 Prospect Street, Shreveport, Louisiana, 71104. Mr. President, Commissioners, I'm the current chair of the Zoning Board of Appeals. In July of 2008, I was appointed by this body to fill an unexpired term on the ZBA. On April 10th of this year, that appointment expired. In December of 2008, 6 months into my tenure, I was elected chair and have served in that capacity ever since. The time I've served on the board has been educational and rewarding, and I'm honored for the opportunity to serve our community and to discharge my civic duty in this capacity. I feel that I, as well as my fellow volunteer board members, bring something positive to the process. To that end, I take my duty seriously. In nearly 7 years, I have missed only 5 public hearings. As chair, I have presided over roughly 71 hearings. In all of that time, an estimated 250 hours engaged with the public, I have never been charged with a complaint regarding my decorum or professionalism. Not from the public, not from the MPC staff, not from another member of my board, or from any elected official, except on April 8th of this year. 2 weeks ago, at the regular scheduled meeting of the Zoning Board of Appeals, City Councilwoman Lynch took me to task. As a result, in her opinion, I had been less than respectful to one of her constituents. As a result of her comments, I took the opportunity to go on record during the meeting to offer the citizen a public apology. The events of that exchange weighed on my mind, and so I requested a copy of the video recording of the hearing in order to see for myself what had transpired. It's always interesting, if you're not, and a bit concerning, to see and hear yourself on tape if you're not accustomed to it. And while I will be the first to admit that I do not present as charismatic, I do contend that I am neither rude nor disrespectful. Do I claim perfection? No, I do not. When confronted with hostility, I have been known to respond in kind, but I suspect that is true maybe for all of us. If you have doubts about my suitability as a candidate for this appointment, I invite you to solicit testimony from my fellow board members and from the MPC staff members with whom I work. I also invite you to view any of the hearings I have chaired to assess for yourself how I run a meeting and how I interact with those who come before the board. Likewise, I am available to each of you at any time should you have questions or wish to interview me personally prior to making your decision. In closing, I realize that I serve at your pleasure, and I am therefore here to express my desire to continue serving the citizens of our community as a member of the Zoning Board of Appeals. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Bear. Next person is Eric Hatfield. Okay. Now, you know your time is going to be short. No, not 15 minutes. Not 15 minutes. So you want him to talk now? He can talk now. Come on. Give us your name and address.
Constable Eric Hatfield, 10040 Loveland Court, Shreveport, Louisiana, 71106. I won't take much of your time. I was just called here by some, I guess, friends in the community that have some concerns with animals being euthanized, and I only have a few things to say, and those would be just in reference to the animals being euthanized. I do support any program that would be hosted by the Caddo Parish Sheriff's Office where these animals may be taken away from the shelter and kept from being euthanized and put into the prison system for rehabilitation purposes or training purposes, or much like some of these other prisons have done across the state, where a couple of the other ones have already taken animals in. They work with the animal shelter, pull the dogs in, they train them, the inmates train the dogs, they use them as companions in the prison facilities, and then turn them out to use for juvenile programs for kids that are in trouble, or PTSD, or for any other need they may have. So I just support I just want to be here and stand in support of that, support anything that we can do to keep the dogs from being euthanized and put into another role where they can be beneficial to society or handicapped or any other service dog related industry. And that's it.
Thank you, Mr. Hatfield. That's all the cards I have. Next item, Mr. Clerk.
Next, we move to visitors. Ms. Caroline Newell.
Mr. Harris.
I'd like to make a motion if I can get a second. I'd like to move that the situation relative to Ms. Newell be moved to old business. If I can get a second for discussion.
Second. So we have a motion and a second to move the discussion on animal services issues down to old business. See no one that wishes to speak, let's vote.
Well, I just want to relate my reason for it.
Okay.
It appears as though we're circumventing our Animal Service Committee process, and this appears to be rather redundant, you know, every week and every meeting. So therefore, that's why I'm moving that to old business, and I would think these issues should be referred to the Animal Services Committee. I don't know if they've been attending them. Then that committee should make recommendations and send them back to this body. So that being my reason, I ask for your support on that motion.
Okay, Commissioner Lynn.
To move a person from the front of the agenda to the back of the agenda and have them sit through the entire meeting, I can only view as being punishment for something that someone doesn't want to hear. Things happen every single day in the Animal Services Committee. Just yesterday, we had an instance that very few people in this room even know about. And then another scenario where Commissioner Escadade and I heard raving compliments about Animal Services saving some ducklings in the Captain Shreve neighborhood. And so we're proud of that, and we're going to post that and talk about that today, or at least I am. When I was a child, I had a dog, I had a dog too, but I had a cat that broke its leg and crawled underneath our house. It was probably 7, and it's screaming. Animal Services was there in 30 minutes, picked up the cat and hauled it away. Now, I'm sure it got euthanized, but it was probably close to death anyway. Yesterday, a citizen of Caddo Parish had a cat. It was on their porch. They're allergic to cats. They have children. The husband is in Afghanistan. Called Animal Services, got the after hours line. After hours, called Animal Services. This has to do with the motion is that something happens every single day. That this is not a redundant conversation that we're having about the same old issue every single time we come here. Every single time Animal Services come here, they don't present the same issue. They present something new that has happened that week, or this case, possibly the day before. This is a scenario where the person who called Animal Services was told to let the cat die and then call Shreveport Sanitation to haul the dead body away today. And it took calling Dr. Wilson, Randy Lucky, finally getting a phone call from Mr. Harris. Right. And so, but the motion is to put this at the back.
It's not at the back, but go ahead.
Right. And I'm saying that let these people talk. And if we've got medicine that we need to take that medicine. And we should not hide confrontation. We should welcome confrontation, because confrontation is where you have sunshine and you're able to see everything that's going on. And if there's one side of the story, there's always another side of the story. And I realize that there is truth in both sides of the story, and we have to hear both sides of the story to find that truth. And we should never penalize a constituent telling them that they have to go to the back of the agenda just because we don't want to hear it. That's what I'm saying.
Commissioner Escudé.
Okay, if we move this to old business, which is not too far down the agenda, what are we going to do? Is the lady going to be allowed to speak?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
We'll move it to old business to allow for more time and discussion. Is that the intent of the motion?
Time in the page.
Asking the maker.
Same thing.
Pardon me?
Same thing.
Yes, to allow.
At the same time, whatever it is. 3 minutes.
That's not. We're going to move it to the agenda under old business, and it's as long as it takes. And I'm not going to cut her
I vote
off
for old
premature.
business.
I think, anybody has a right to come down here and be heard. Now, so, I'm not going to deny her that right. And just something, Mr. Lynn makes a good point. Till we get the animal services in this parish, that it's not what we want, that the citizens want, we need to take it. So, bring it on. I'm not going to support this.
Okay. Basically, if everyone who has an agenda, we're moving it from section 6 to section 10. The 3 that's in between really doesn't take that much time, but at the same time, we just wanted to move it down because this is a repetitive issue, and so it is old business. But it's not at the end of the agenda. It's basically moving it down 3 sections. Let's vote. No one else has any other comment. Commissioner Bowman, need you to vote. That passes 8-4. Next item, Mr. Clerk.
Next, we move to reports, administrative report.
I can't believe Dr. Wilson.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Good afternoon, Commissioners. During the last meeting we had, Commissioner Lynn brought up an idea about mosquito spraying, aerial spraying. I'd like for Mr. Harris to come forward to kind of give you all an update about what our plan has been on this subject. So, Mr. Everett, if you come forward and... Okay, cool. This is for address aerial spraying.
I have no idea.
All right, good afternoon, Commissioners. I was just trying to make sure everybody had copies of the paperwork. Commissioner Matthew Lynn requested that we go over the aerial spraying. I want to inform you that we did put a contingency plan in place in 2012 to address this issue. This is an issue that we requested through Barksdale Air Force Base to participate with them in their aerial spraying process. The process has to go through the Pentagon for approval. We cannot just arbitrarily make the decision to put Air Force aircraft in the air and spray Caddo Parish. So we have a proposal. If this is what we want to accomplish, we have a proposal in the plan which we presented last time in 2012 as to what it would cost to be able to do this. We've identified the acreage that we will spray. These are areas that the trucks will not be able to access. It's open land where we have
water that's not draining properly, that we will be able to address. We've come up with a cost that has to be provided up front. In order to participate in this plan, you're going to be dealing with an Air Force unit out of Youngstown, Ohio, who would come in, their reservists. They would come in and they would do a spray. You have to provide all the chemical up front for this process. The process has to go through the city of Bossier Parish, the city of Shreveport, and Caddo Parish. All elected officials, presidents, mayors have to sign off on it. It has to be a media awareness campaign to make everyone in the public aware that you're going to spray. Once you have all of that completed, you will send your form or your packet, which is about 15 pages of information. You would send it to the Pentagon for approval. And at that time, you will be put on next year's list to spray. It's a one-time deal. So if it rains afterwards, you have to start the process over. So it's basically up to the body as to what we want to do moving forward. And if we do decide to go, we will have to purchase the chemical, which is going to be right around $100,000.
Okay, you got a couple of commissioners that want to ask you some questions. Commissioner Lynn.
Director Harris, if we put this forth right now, we would not get the spray until next year?
That's correct, sir.
And have we discussed anything with Bossier Parish?
Well, you do
Initiated?
have exception of policies, sir. The Air Force is willing to listen, but it's subject to Pentagon approval. You can do an exception of policy if it's under emergency conditions. I'm pretty sure that you would get the support that you need under those conditions. We have a contingency plan in place with Barksdale. If Barksdale decides to spray, they will include Caddo Parish in. Our objective would be to provide the chemical to be able to cover those areas up front. So we are talking. We've continued the process. We've been in touch with Lieutenant Colonel in the Youngstown Reserve component, talking back and forth with him as to see how this contingency plan is going to go forward. And I've included that email in here in the packet. It's the second page to the last document.
Right now, I think we're 10 inches above normal for the year so far.
Yes, sir.
I don't know what next year is going to provide for us. Next year we could have no rain.
Yes, sir.
And so what is the likelihood of being able to spray on an emergency plan and being able to spray within 30, 60 days?
Well, sir, that's why I provided a plan for 70,000 acres. And then you have the parish, which is the most populated areas, is 271,000 acres. It's up to the commission body as to what you would like to do. If you appropriate the money, then we can go ahead and start at that point pursuing the process to be able to spray. You can do it through private industry, or you can go through the federal government. You have options there, but it's just going to take the resources to be able to do it.
I mean, I just got this and I'm just now scanning it. Is Barksdale Air Force Base, are they already planning on spraying Barksdale?
I can't speak for Barksdale Air Force Base, sir, but we are in talks. If that position comes available, we will address it. But I can't speak for Barksdale Air Force Base concerning what their plans are. They've submitted their plans to us, and we are included in it, but we would have to go through the media campaign to make the public aware before we actually follow through with it.
Has Barksdale initiated any paperwork through the Pentagon already?
They have a contingency plan in place, sir, but they have not, as I'm not aware if they've submitted any additional paperwork to the Pentagon. I'm not aware of it.
Okay, that's all, Mr. President. Thank you.
Commissioner Dominic.
Seems like a fairly expensive ordeal to go through this. My question was, where are we at on our current spraying and everything like that?
Sir, right now we've started bringing in our part-timers because of the rain that's been, hitting our area pretty hard. And we have about 10 trucks. They're going to be spraying Monday through Thursday, hitting our populated areas and to include Rodessa, Ida, Gillum, all those areas. It takes us about 4 to 6 weeks to spray the entire parish before we have to come back around again. So we constantly have trucks moving every day from dusk at around 7 p.m. to around 10, spraying the entire parish.
You started those?
Yes, sir. We've started. We've kicked off our spray season the last week of March. So we've been treating in the morning and spraying in the evenings.
Be sure and hit all these baseball fields and
Yes, sir.
soccer fields, these outdoor
Yes, sir.
for a lot of
The
people.
staff is aware that, with the children being out, golf courses,
Right.
football practices, softball practices, we're going to be out spraying those prior to those events. And if the public needs any assistance, they can call us for direct sprays. If they're going to have a family reunion or something of that nature, we'll come out ahead of time and spray those particular areas.
All right, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Harris, I just want to commend you on having a strong backbone and the courage to be able to handle all the criticism that you receive out through this community. First of all, I want to thank you for serving in our armed forces, coming back home to find work. I think you're doing a tremendous job because you have protocol that you have to abide by. You have policy, you have procedure that you have to conform to. You just can't take matters in your own hand and make decisions by yourself without consulting with the parish administrator and the parish attorney. You're a constructed policy person because you come out of the military. And we appreciate the work that you do. And this continue to rehearse and rehash this complaint. Where most of your complaints come from? What zip code? I think I have the largest in District 3 of loose animals running around in District 3 than any particular district.
Yes, sir.
And I hardly ever get a complaint from you or from them regarding animals. Because I think you're proactive to know that certain areas in the district that have loose animals running and spraying in Cherokee Park and those areas. It's injustice that's been done here. I think it's very unfair. You're not perfect. People make mistakes. They're human. And we need to have, as he said, confrontation, but we need to have some compromise. We have too much confrontation up here, not compromising up here. And we always want to do it like this. Most things are settled back in the back. And to see here every meeting and come and hear about, no diversity is about complaining about what's going on in animal shelter. There's always a certain segment of the community. Almost like it's targeted toward, is it about the department or is it about the individual? Let's be real and clear. Is it about the department? Because the department have received high marks throughout this country, throughout this state. It has. The document shows that. It shows that this is one of the best ran animal shelters, one of the best in the state of Louisiana. It shows that. So we need to be careful about promoting the health and welfare and economic development in our community. And everybody around America is watching how we conduct our business here in our community. Do we have problems? Yes, we do. But I think we need to do a better job on how we solve them because the department is doing a great job. I'm quite sure our administrator will uphold any wrongdoing that Mr. Harris does. He wouldn't do that. He will get rid of it because it affects him as administrator. But I think we should stand up for our people, our employees, when they're right. Don't throw them away. So we need to be clear of the broken mirror. Is it really about the department or is it about the individual that runs the department? Because he has some strong backbone to be able to take all this type of verbal abuse that you receive to like every commission meeting now. So I just want to commend you, first of all, for serving our country, putting your life and neck on the line, on the front line. And you receive a quality education in the military. What is your background? What is your degree?
I have a master's degree in finance, sir.
Master's degree in finance. And you served, what rank you left when you left the military?
E8 First Sergeant.
E8 First Sergeant. He served the country, that red, white, and blue flag. He put his neck on the line, not only for the human, but also the animals too, so they can be protected and be safe. And he come back home, this is a welcome that he gets when he comes here. It's not right, it's not fair, the way we treat our director. This is the only director in this department get treated like this every week. The only director. Every week, he get treated like this. And I think it's unfair. But, that other complaint, what district that was in that the complaint about the cat? What district is that?
I believe it was in District 3, sir.
That's my district.
Yes, sir.
I didn't get a call.
That's your district.
So why would a person call another commissioner about a complaint in another commission district? Why would that happen? It seems to me there's an orchestrated effort to do some things that I think is unfair. I can serve the District 3 pretty well. I think it's unfair. I think it's an injustice, undue justice to our director. I appreciate the work that you've been doing over the years. You've been one of the longest directors that we done had. You know, since in a while. You've been there about 45 years, or even longer. I don't know.
7 years, sir.
7 years. I don't know what the time frame for them to stay there, but it sure ain't 7 years.
2 years.
They have a big turnover in that department.
Every 2 years. Every 3 years.
How many?
Every 3.
Every 3 years. And the next person go probably catch the same undue justice and rhetoric as well. So I just hope that we find some common ground, some compromise, and less confrontation up on this commission body. Because we done had enough of that, about any and everything that go on up here. And I just think, is it really about the department, or is it about the individual that run the department? Let's be clear. That department serves the entire parish of Caddo at large. I don't see a lot of diversity coming up here complaining. I don't see it. I don't see diversity.
Point of order, Mr. President. This has to do with aerial spraying for mosquitoes, and I don't think the speaker is addressing that at all.
I disagree with you, Mr.
I haven't heard the word aerial spraying on mosquitoes
I disagree.
since you started talking.
And, well, let me talk about the spray then. You're doing a good job with the spray. Since that's part of my presentation. You're doing a good job with the spray, and you have reached out to your colleagues in other communities to see if there's something feasible that will serve this entire parish. We're all concerned about mosquitoes at any time of the year, especially during the year while children or senior citizens are around a lot of body of water. So we make sure it's very cost effective and effective. It's something that we want to explore and do. Maybe they need to put in the cost. Let's have a regional spray where everybody spray together, put in some skinning together. But we can have a regional where everybody spray to protect not only the children, the seniors, protect the animals as well, because they get bit by mosquitoes too. All right? Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Cox.
I'll make this real quick since we're looking at time. When we go out to businesses, because I know there's 3 on Mansfield Road that they're tire stores.
Yes, sir.
And they stack their tires out front for advertising. Well, guess what? That holds water.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we're educating the businesses that they can't do that. And it's up to the city and the parish, if they're in the parish, to either go by and tell them they can't do that. They gotta knock them down, can't have standing water, no matter if they say, well, there's no mosquitoes around here anyway. It's not the point. So I understand that you already have a plan every year for certain areas that are normally the problem areas, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. When you talk about spending that type of money spraying Barksdale, Shreveport, Caddo, Bossier, all that, that's a lot of time, effort, and by the time you get something like that done and paid for, the season's over.
Yes, sir.
That's all I need to know. Thank you.
Commissioner Bowman.
I had so much to say a few minutes ago, but I lost my train
You got
of
7
thought.
minutes to say it.
But how long do I have?
7 minutes.
7 minutes? Okay, I'll be brief. First, I want to thank you for the spraying that is taking place. I've received a lot of calls in the community, and I actually was driving and I saw 2 trucks was spraying, and so I want to thank you for that. Also, I guess I'll stick to the subject. I have to stick to mosquitoes?
Yes.
Okay.
Whatever you talked about, mosquitoes, spraying, and whatever. Yeah.
You had a floor.
Okay. Well,
You had a floor.
I have a floor, but I also like to follow protocol, so I didn't want to be out
Go
of
ahead.
order.
Talk.
All right. So, with the issue of what we're going to do, ma'am, with the vote, first I want to thank you for what you're doing with that, and that was very productive. I appreciate it. And I just want to say on a separate note that's dealing with this, regardless of where our calls come from or what zip code, I get what you're saying, what your point, what you're saying, Commissioner, but also I don't want the perception out there that regardless of what's happening with zip codes, that we are responsible for all the zip codes, any complaints. So if they all come from District 4 or they come from District 1, we got to still adhere to it. Not taking away anything from what you're saying, regardless of. Well, that's fine. If you're gonna listen to me,
I'm listening. Go ahead. Don't you complain. Talk, Mr. Harris.
well, I'm talking to Mr. Harris anyway. So what I wanted to say was, do what you're doing. Continue as far as what you've been doing. You know what you're supposed to do. Everything that, you know, that we're asking, everything dealing with citizens. Appreciate your work that you're doing with it. Let's continue around the board.
Yes, sir.
That was pretty much my comment. I got thrown off, but I'm not here for negativity.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Finish. Okay, Commissioner Dominique.
Mr. Everett, Commissioner Cox said something about the tires.
Yes, sir. What we're doing now is we're going through asking them to drill holes in the bottom of those so that the water can drain out of those when they're hanging. But when they're in those tire yards, those are a lot of tires, so it's really becoming a property standards issue where we have to work.
So it's not illegal for them to have those tires up there?
No, sir. But, you know, they're going to hold water, and anything that holds water is a breeding ground
I
for
know, I
mosquitoes.
understand. I mean, my question was, he was saying it was illegal, they can't do it, but they can do it. I mean,
They
there's,
can as long as it's empty.
huh?
They can as long as it's empty.
They-
If it's standing, no.
If it has water in there, they can't?
Well, what we're trying to do is we recommend to those businesses,
You're not
sir.
answering my question. Is it illegal? Because if it's illegal, we need to get that tire place up there in Rodessa be taken care of.
Well,
Y'all
sir,
been telling me
our
that-
ordinances are silent in regarding that particular area. I'm not saying it's legal or illegal, but we're recommending to these agencies that they drain
Please
those.
get, I'm not worried about that. Just please get with that Rodessa company up there. Rodessa, you know what I'm talking about? It's got all those tires.
Yes, sir.
Please go visit by them and see if they can do anything too.
We'll make some recommendations to them, sir.
Thank you.
That's it, Mr. Harris. You can have a seat. Thank you, Commissioner, Administrator Wilson. Next item.
President Johnson, we have a legislative update from Chef Prater. So Chef Prater, would you please come forward, sir? Pardon me? I know this is a change. This is my prerogative to change things.
My turn?
Yes, sir. You got the floor, Sheriff.
I just wanted to come. I've supplied you with some information. I think that you all probably have had a chance to look at it. I hope you have. And I wanted to see if you had any questions that you might have for me. But most of all, I wanted to ask this body to help support House Bill 118. We need to pass that, and I'd appreciate a resolution or something from y'all in that respect. It deals with Caddo Parish, and I'm coming on behalf of, or in the title of Sheriff, Homeland Security Director, and the Chairman of POST, which is the Peace Officer Standards and Training Council of the state of Louisiana. And I think this needs to be passed, and I'll answer any questions that you have. It simply rolls back a law that was in effect in 2012, and only 3 people took advantage of it at that time. And it was changed, and I think it needs to go back to that. Have any questions? Be glad to answer.
Was it in our box? I haven't.
It's
checked
in
my
the box.
Okay, okay. I don't have it, but I hadn't seen it because I just had time to get in my box. But
Sheriff Prater, could you give us a brief synopsis of it? Because a lot of them haven't checked their box. They got here and they came straight up here.
Okay.
we can't read real well up there in North Caddo Parish, no shit.
Shreveport.
What Ann stand for Norway?
Yeah.
I'll go a little further back. I've been the chairman of POST, which is the state chairman of all peace officer standards and training. Standards and training for peace officers has been one of my passions for a number of years. In fact, I know this was before most of y'all were born, but in 1992, the second year I was police chief, I called and told the city council that I had changed the requirements for reserve deputies whereby they had to be trained to the same standards and the same number of hours of regular officers. That was way before the time that you see it being done now, and it's not being done in some places. But we required that at the Caddo Parish Sheriff's Office, and we required that back then when I was the police chief. I was the first one to start that. The Caddo Parish Sheriff's Office requires almost 400 hours of training in the academy and about 60 hours every year to be updated on things like cultural diversity, CPR, firearms, domestic violence, human trafficking, things that the legislature requires as far as in service. Well, as I said before, my passion has always been in training. The state of Louisiana is unusual in the fact that if you work full-time, you get paid 40 hours a week, you have to be fully post-certified. That means you have to go through a 360-hour academy and 20 hours a year of in-service training. However, if you work 39 hours a week or are a volunteer, you don't have to have any of that. So you go and you have the same authority. It makes absolutely no sense. You can't even be a plumber, an electrician, or cut hair without training and a certification, yet you can arrest people and you can make life and death decisions without any training. In this particular case, what I'm trying to do is twofold. I would like to address the forest, and I'd like to stop the bleeding or suppress the effort. Caddo Parish is the only parish that I know of, the only place where instead of requiring more and more training out of our law enforcement, we're adding more and more law enforcement and requiring less and less training. In this particular case, this is addressing a tree. House Bill 118 addresses a tree. The state of Louisiana is going to at some point have to address the entire forest, requiring it for anybody that has the power of arrest to be fully post-certified and trained each year and have a lot of training. Can you imagine if, in y'all's particular case, or mine, if CNN or CNBC or Fox News comes to town after an incident and they come and they say, oh, y'all had an incident where someone was shot in the back or shot because they picked up their gun instead of their taser, and they say, how much training did you require of them? And we say, well, absolutely none. I don't know, that's the way it is right now. So, that's a problem. So I'd like you to, if you would, to assist me in the passage of House Bill 118. This deals with constables. The Parish of Caddo has 11 wards. Shreveport is 1 ward. There's 10 wards, 10 constables, and 10 justices of the peace. In 2012, we were one of only 6 parishes. Each constable could have a deputy constable in 2012. In 2012, the state law changed to where Caddo Parish became the only parish that was allowed as many deputy constables as each constable wanted. The only parish. There's only 2 other parishes that allow multiple deputy constables. That's Jefferson and East Baton Rouge. Neither one of them have a city court system. They use the constables, they're city constables, instead of city marshals. They don't have city marshals. We are the only parish with city marshals, a city marshal, multiple ward constables, and unlimited deputy constables. We have 1 ward that has, as of last report, 18 deputy constables. Now let me go back to the first of my presentation. If you are part-time, which constables are part-time, if you are volunteer, which deputy constables are volunteer, then you are required no law enforcement training to have the same power I've got as far as arrest, stopping you, writing a ticket. They miss out on things like first aid, legal aspects. This is the post-curriculum. Standards of conduct, role in the community, diversity in the community, use of force, use of less than lethal force. Not even trained how to use something less than lethal force. Crimes in progress, violent crimes, vehicle stop tactics, writing tickets, DWIs, domestic violence, all these and many, many more crisis intervention, dealing with the mentally ill. All these are some of the 360 hours that are required because I work 40 hours a week, but less than that are volunteer, none of this. House Bill 118 simply rolls us back to the 2012 levels, allowing for one deputy constable. Keep in mind, out of the 10 constables in Caddo Parish, only 3 chose to have a deputy constable then, a single deputy constable. Because the workload, y'all pay them. I'm not sure about insurance or anything, but I would think that if somebody makes a mistake, that y'all might very well be included in the lawsuit, since they're on your payroll. I'm not a legal person, I certainly don't know anything about that, but very well could. So all I'm saying is help me to roll it back to 2012.
Okay.
Any questions?
I see no commissioners with any questions, so. That's it, Sheriff Ray. Appreciate
Thank you very much for listening. Appreciate if you'd consider a resolution of support or something for House Bill 118. Thank you.
Thank you, President Johnson. Just want to inform the commission that I was made aware recently that the regional lab on Vine Street, the lab that does all our anthrax testing and rabies testing, will be closing this Friday. They're closing their doors permanently Friday. And I never got official notification, so I called Baton Rouge, and they told me that they were consolidating all of those laboratories throughout the state, making a central location in Baton Rouge. So that does impact us somewhat, because when we have to test animals for rabies, we have to take them to that lab. So now we would have to go make arrangements to get the specimen to Baton Rouge and get a turnaround there on the testing of it. So they say this is a cost-saving measure. You know, the state's cutting a lot of things, but it does affect us. So just want to make you aware of that. So effective Friday, we will not have the capability anymore to do local testing for rabies, anthrax, or any other biological diseases in our area. And that concludes my report, sir.
Commissioner Lynn.
Yes, sir.
Dr. Wilson.
Yes, sir.
In testing for rabies, it's my understanding that time is of the essence.
That's
and
correct.
so in cost saving, is that going to include flying an animal head to Baton Rouge and flying it back, or can we just contract with someone locally and skip the state?
I'm not sure if there's a source locally we can contract with. But right now, we're looking at perhaps doing some hot ice type of preparation and
Drive it down.
And either drive it down or FedEx it overnight down.
I would think that as financially involved as we are with LSU, that they could figure it out. Or since we do entrepreneurial accelerator programs at the BRI, then they can put something together and start charging us, because sending it by UPS or something like that, we'd have to Federal Express it overnight, and sometimes that's too much. That and other testing. I just know that rabies is the most common. And I wanted to reiterate also that Commissioner Escadeta and I were both at the Captain Shreve Neighborhood Association meeting this past week, and they gushed about how much they liked animal services in their representation, coming out and saving, I think, some baby chicks. The mother had gotten run over by a car on East Kings Highway, and they really went the extra mile to take care of the chicks and then put them into foster care. And so thank you. That's all.
Okay. Dr. Wilson, are we going to utilize a hot shot service for those tests that we have to do, or?
Yes, sir. We're probably cultivating many options, and we will probably choose the most effective one in terms of time and costs.
Okay.
But right now, I don't think we have much of an option, because they're going to close it regardless of whether we.
Right.
We have to have that capability, because we have cases where raccoons may scratch someone, and we have to go through that process.
Okay then. Commissioner Evers.
That was okay, you said hot shots. So you mean hot ice, putting the head on hot ice?
Put it on hot ice and then shipping
okay.
it down,
Right.
drive somebody.
Well, that's what I was going to ask Mr. Wilson, if you put something, I mean, of course, we got plenty of vehicles and have somebody drive it down to the
Yes, sir.
nearest place. Okay, that's all I have.
Commissioner Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think in light of what has presented to us regarding this House bill, we do have a constable in the room. You know, we need to get another side of why this bill is so important or not so important. You know, I'd like to make a motion at some point on the agenda, at least allow him to speak about this particular bill at some point. He's in the room, we ought to allow him to speak as well.
Okay. Commissioner Cox.
On the facility going to Baton Rouge, y'all are making a lot out of, it's not a problem. Transportation is the easiest part of getting that done. Time is, is not that big of a deal. So when y'all get to that point, I will be more than happy, not my company, but I can offer, get you services that can be, one, efficient and not a very high cost for the parish.
Okay.
So it's not that big of a deal.
All right. Okay. Commissioner Escobar.
What do they do with that? Is it called a necropsy or something?
Yeah, where they cut the.
Yeah. Okay. What's our turnaround time now?
I need to defer that question to Mr. Everett. Who's here? Everett, could you come forward? I was just briefing Commissioner on the Vine Street lab closure and how that impact us for rabies testing. When we take the animal.
All I don't want to hear another presentation. I just want the answer to that question, please.
Yeah.
What's our turnaround time now once we have to, is it a
It's going to be overnight shipping,
necropsy?
sir.
Is that what they call it?
No, sir.
What's
No,
the
sir.
word?
For rabies testing?
What do they call the procedure? Yes. When they
Just
take-
rabies testing. Necropsy is if you have to do an autopsy on an animal that's you suspect to have some sort of injuries. We don't do those. We have to send the head in for testing, so we would bag it.
Right.
And then basically FedEx it to Baton Rouge.
That's done in
overnight.
Baton Rouge. So
Yes,
we're
sir.
doing local rabies testing, and what does that require? The animal,
The head of the animal, sir.
we do that locally,
Yes, sir.
and they do it 24 hours, within 24 hours.
Well, once we submit it, it's time is important because of the brain, but we have to submit it, get it there, if say the animal passes away and we have to send the head in for testing, the sooner the better, because once the brain cools, it's no longer, you can no longer use it, then it would make the person susceptible to have to get post-exposure shots. So time is the essence to get it
Okay.
done, sir.
What is the when a person is infected with the rabies virus by the animal, what is the time, incubation period, whatever time that the patient's symptomatic?
We monitor from 0 to 10 days, sir, to see if any neurological signs are present. But if the person exhibits some sort of sicknesses and they feel that they need to seek their private medical doctor, then they will go ahead and that doctor will probably make the recommendation for them to get post-exposure shots.
Okay. So let's. So I'm trying to get time. Someone's bitten by an animal, okay, and you suspect it is rabid, okay? So you'll capture the animal.
Yes, sir.
And you get it tested. Under normal circumstances, what period of time does the person, if the animal is rabid, start to experience symptoms?
It could be anywhere from 0 to 3 weeks, sir. It could just depends on the person. Rabies are fatal. There's no cure for rabies.
Look, my wife went through the whole series of shots 2 years ago because we couldn't find the damn cat that bit her.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I've been there.
So, symptoms vary.
I'm trying to figure out, as Mr. Cox said, is this a 5 alarm or is it just going to be an inconvenience?
It's going to be an inconvenience, sir, because instead of having it local, we have to now send it to Baton Rouge, which we had to do locally and get our results. But now we have to wait for Baton Rouge to do the testing and then send us some correspondence back either via email or in the mail so that we can notify or keep it on file and notify the victim of what's going on, that the animal tested negative for rabies.
Since this is a statewide problem, obviously, and I realize you just got the information Friday, and they're shutting down everything in the states, all going to Baton Rouge, are they ramping up down there? Are they to anticipate the increased workload? Do you have any idea?
Yes, sir. We've been in talks with them. They're going to provide us all the possible contacts to be able to do emergency contact information that we didn't have access to. We had been dealing with Dr. Balsamo, the state veterinarian, talking directly with him, and he would direct us on how we need to proceed forward. But also it'll be as transferring it from Shreveport in terms of reporting to Baton Rouge. And then we just have to wait, based on the workload of the state, to get our results back to notify the victim.
Okay, thank you.
It's just going to delay reporting it to the victim, sir.
Well, it could delay treatment of a patient who needs the treatment. So I guess who gets the burden for that if they're late? I guess the governor. We spent all the money and we have to shut things down. I mean, Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Administrator, are you going to report on the Expungement Summit and where we at on that in regards to the press conference tomorrow and what's going on with that?
Yes, sir, I can. I thought it was going to occur. But anyway, commissioners, we've had a working committee to put on the next Expungement Summit, which will take place April 27th at the Riverview Hall. We'll have 2 sessions, one at 9 a.m. and one at 2. And last year we did this. We planned for 400, 2,800 showed up. So we moved it to a bigger venue, and we're getting a lot of calls already. And we have an attorney, Ebony Norris, will be doing the training this year. And we anticipate 2 sessions. The capacity of the room is 1,700. And tomorrow morning we have a press conference to kick this off, the public awareness off tomorrow morning. And then there'll be some advertisements that go out. But we're anticipating next Monday morning at 9 o'clock, Riverview Hall, a large attendance, large crowds to fill that venue up. And we'll be conducting a seminar training on how to prepare the application. The clerk of the court is working with us on this, and they'll be passing those out. And we'll get the people knowledge, and they will also have access to their records. And then they can go ahead and fill out their applications and turn it into the clerk of court and get that process started. But yes, sir, next Monday morning at 9 o'clock at the Riverview Hall, 600 Clyde Fayette Parkway.
Well, let me just commend everyone who has participated in coordinating that event.
Yeah.
Commissioner Bowman and Stormy and Epperson and many others been working behind the scene, your staff, reaching out to the community, the city and the parish together, working together. I also spoke with Northwest Legal Aid today. Former Judge Leon Emanuel also said he will provide the attorneys for those 2 hours. The 2 sessions, the morning and the evening. I'll give you the phone number where you can reach out to him to have those attorneys available to explain the form itself. Free legal advice that day, the morning session and the evening session. So I have spoke out to him regarding that. He called me today. Okay. So we're looking forward to another event to serve people that particular day that need those type of service. Until they can, be reinstated all their privilege and rights back into the community and pay taxes and find a reasonable job to take care of their families. So we just want to commend everybody who has been on the forefront, on the front line, to provide their service to our constituency here in Caddo Parish, Shreveport, and Bossier. Bossier will also be part of that as well. So to reach across the 5 bridges that separate Caddo and Shreveport, to come across the water and let's work together to help reach out to the community itself. So here again, just can't say enough about the continued work that's been going on to make that happen. And a lot of people have been working behind the scene that didn't show up the other day. So commend you and the young commissioners that are working on it as well. Thank you.
Commissioner Baker.
The flyer I have say 8 to 4. You saying 9?
And we revised the flyer.
Oh, we didn't get one. Yes. I've been telling people 8. I've been announcing 8 too.
We'll be there. It'll just be an hour early. But the events start at 9 o'clock. The training session will start at 9.
Did y'all send a revised flyer out?
Yes, ma'am, we have.
I didn't get it.
Well, make sure you get one. Friday. Michelle has a revised slide. Michelle, would you make sure all the commissioners get one, please?
Okay, next item.
Next, we move to Communication Committee reports.
I see none. Next item,
Next, we have President's report.
I'll move mine to Thursday.
Thank you, sir.
Next, we move to old business. Ms. Caroline Newell.
See, we're not at the end of the meeting.
Hello again.
All right.
All right, first things first. Who called me old? Old business, all right? I don't think I can actually circumvent myself. You know, I was accused of circumventing, and, you know, there's an organizational chart that's in the annual report, and it shows the taxpayer at the very top. So since it's a taxpayer's concern why I'm here, I can't circumvent myself. I don't want to be repetitive. I don't want to be redundant. Redundancy is what's happening to the animals. They're being destroyed. That's what I'm trying to stop. We talked about the military. My father, 20 years military. I went to 8 different schools. I understand chain of command. I understand duty. I understand honor. Just because you served in the military does not necessarily mean you understand the core beliefs of the service. The chain of command has been broken several times. You spoke of it, Mr. Lynn. You couldn't even get through the front door when we first started all of this. So please don't talk about military service equating to doing what is right. It's not necessarily true. Wheels of government move very slowly. You talked about that, Mr. Johnson. They do. They don't move fast enough for us, but we know there's a lot of facts and circumstances. Just sit through one of these meetings, and you know what it takes. I mean, I didn't understand the rules when I got here. I didn't know you couldn't talk back to me. I was flabbergasted. I was like, oh, I'm talking to myself. But when there's a committee vote, you know, you wanted me to go to, you know, Animal Services Committee and, you know, be there to provide my voice there. Well, there was supposed to be a vote right now about whether, you know, they should be able to, you know, post pictures of the intakes on Facebook. And first I wasn't real sure why there needed to be a vote for that. Do we vote on whether we can use the fax machine or whether we can use email? I didn't quite get that, but that's okay. The vote was coming, but then there's a technicality because, you know, Stormy was not yet a full-fledged commissioner, and she voted on it as an interim. And so the technicality has made it go back to have to be presented next month. And, you know, I thought, you know, I know that you have certain rules and bylaws and things that you have to go by, but, I mean, wouldn't it be just as easy to say, do you stand by your vote as now that you're a full-fledged commissioner? Do you still stand by that? How easy would that have been to keep it on the vote agenda and keep the wheels moving? He's not here at the moment. He said that the shelter is the best run in the country. I would love to see the statistics on that. We kill 8 out of every 10 animals that cross the threshold. I'm not sure who he's comparing it to. I would like to know that answer. I'd be very curious to know where he got that information. And, you know, I know that the current administration and management, if you will, layperson's going to call it management, has been in place a while. So I guess my first question would be, you know, are we just going to settle for the checklist? I've done this, I've done this, I've done this, that's all. Where's the continuous improvement? Where are we at as far as wanting to move into, you know, the next century maybe? I don't see that there has been any continuous improvement. Did somebody say it was, well, actually, Mr. Harris, did he say 7 years? What new programs have we seen in 7 years? I just found out about the inmate rehabilitation, and that's why I asked Eric to come speak. I was like, oh my gosh, that's great. My biggest theme, you know, as far as asking speakers to come and speak on my behalf was, okay, you kind of got 2 trains of thought here. You got where we are and where we're going. So, you know, so you're either going to talk about the current state of affairs and the things that are going wrong, the phone calls that you're getting, or we're going to talk about where are we going to go. You know, what does the future hold? And that's spectacular. That benefits everyone. It lowers cost, it saves animals, it saves inmates. If you've ever seen the interaction, if you've ever seen it, I wish we could present a video to you so you could see what it does for the inmates as well as what it does for the animals. There was mention of diversity, but I think I might skip that. Y'all were talking about mosquitoes. Y'all needed to be back on track, and it just dawned on me that, you know, having it in the same department is probably a bad idea. I mean, mosquitoes are pests, and we want to destroy mosquitoes, but I'm talking about pets, and we don't want to destroy them. I'm talking about the lives of dogs and cats, and I live in zip code 71106. The last thing was, I don't even know how quite to put this, but, and I never want to tell anybody their business, especially, I mean, that's why I get people like Brian Molitor to speak, because he's read the ordinances inside out, and he understands animal rescue. He understands the challenges on both sides. He, you know, has the time and the energy and the know-how and the care, and I was in the middle of tax season when all this happened. I had no idea what I was talking about, so I have people like him come to speak on my behalf because I know my limitations. I know what I know, and I'm not going to pretend that I know otherwise. But I can tell you one thing, if we're talking about the laboratory and the testing and stuff, I would very much, as a taxpayer and a citizen, like to see the lab services stay right here. I'd like to see as much as possible kept local, regardless of what Baton Rouge does. Let them do whatever they want to do. But we've got biomedical research here. We've got tons of available outlets. Let's keep it local. Let's not hotshot it anywhere, you know. And not necessarily does it have to be the cheapest to be the best. You know, I'd rather it be better than cheaper. You know, just ask someone that prepares a tax return. Do you want it fast, or do you want it cheap? Think about it. I think that's the answer, is to keep as much local as possible. I mean, you got to support the businesses that are here. Why wouldn't you? I mean, that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to bridge the gap between animal rescue and animal services. We're trying real hard to do that. Last little thing was the little constable in House Bill 118. I think we should let House Bill do whatever it's going to do. I don't think, you know, personally, that there needs to be a resolution, but that's just my 2 cents. I'm going to let Brian have it for a few minutes. I think he has a couple of things he'd like to say on my behalf.
He has 1 minute, 10 seconds.
Woo! Quickly then. So my time is completely run out.
In 1 minute?
Old business.
Still to the subject.
Each commissioner is limited to 7 minutes to speak on a particular time frame, so I gave you that same 7 minutes to speak.
I couldn't have the 15 that I was originally.
It's at the discretion of the president. And I gave you 7 minutes.
Point of order.
Again, Brian Molitor,
Point of order, please,
2830.
before we go forward. I don't think it is at your, old business does not have a time limit. I'm not aware of it. Can you tell me where you found
We
that?
just moved this down to old business, but in the bylaws, Rule 8, special presentations, time limit for special presentations should be at discretion of the president.
Under old business?
Special presentations. This is a special
Under
presentation.
old business?
This is a special presentation.
Well, this isn't a special presentation. You know, had we just given the lady her original time limit, everything would have been fine, instead of trying to punish her because we didn't want to hear what she had to say.
We're all sitting
Well,
here.
but
Nobody's
you
punishing her.
can't make up
That's what you're
rules.
assuming.
Old business does not have a time limit. And I'll ask for confirmation.
Well, you out of order, Mr. Tippett.
No, I'm not out of order.
Yes, you are.
I was recognized by the president.
And I gave you my answer. And
Well, I'd like to ask the
Mr.
attorney.
Molitor, there's one simple question. How long will it take you to do what you have to do?
Well, I had something to say, and then it was actually leading into another opportunity for saving some animals, but I'm not the expert on that. That's somebody else's field. I appreciate it, Mr. Thibodeau. I understand.
Is there a time limit for old business, and can I also use as the president, the discretion of 7 minutes that I give in each commissioner to speak on a particular topic?
Commissioner, I don't think there is a time limit under old business. Your special presentation rules, and I'm not looking at it, I'm attempting to pull up your copy of the bylaws.
Yeah, the copy right here. You want a copy of that?
Huh?
It don't have no time. There's no Pacific time. You're right.
And so, I believe this is one of those we were talking about earlier in the meeting that needs to be cleaned up.
Right.
Because it's your speakers before the commission now come during your public comment section. So this would apply during that time.
Okay. Go ahead, Mr. Malton.
Thank you. I as well heard about the ducklings. I think that you guys went over and above, getting them out of the sewer, getting them to a rescue, getting them saved. Also heard about the cat in the yard, which I was kind of discouraged about because I got a message asking me what should I do. I didn't have anybody to turn to say, well, you need to call this person, this person, this person. I think as a whole, the commission is here to work for the citizens. I don't think it matters if I call Mr. Wilson, if I call Mr. Lynn, if I call Mr. Bowman. I see Mr. Bowman usually on maybe once or twice a month, I think. And if I have a concern, I let him know. I don't think that all my concerns need to go directly to Mr. Johnson just because he's my commissioner. But I think I know if I tell Mr. Bowman about it, and he thinks it's something you guys need to discuss, he's going to definitely bring it up. Same thing with Mr. Lynn. So I don't understand the infighting over whose citizen is contacting which district. It doesn't really matter. As long as it comes to you and you got the idea of what's going on, whether it comes from Mr. Bowman or it comes from me, it shouldn't really matter who it comes from. As long as you're getting the information that you need to make a decision on a problem or an issue that's happening in Caddo Parish, I don't see an issue with it. Again, I'm not a rescue guy. I got involved in rescue privately. I've seen some things lately. I think that, as everybody here knows, needs to be addressed. I know some of these are being addressed. I have been in on an Animal Services Committee meeting. Plan on attending those regularly from now on, so I can keep appraised of what's going on with Animal Services, what's being taken care of, what's still kind of hanging in the balance, so we don't have this same old thing going on over and over again, Mr. Epperson. We don't want to be old news, old business. I think what I'm getting at is there are a lot of opportunities out there that even we are just finding out about to bring those numbers down, the euthanasia numbers down. I had a lady ask me about, how do we get a no-kill shelter? I know that's almost an impossibility. Animals come in that are too sick to save, too injured to save, or are absolutely just not a candidate for being turned over to a rescue and given up for adoption to a family because they're aggressive or they have inherent traits that are just not viable to make them adoptable animals. So I know you can't have a no-kill shelter, but I also know that 78% is a pretty high number. I agree that you guys are on the right track getting stuff done. I've told Mr. Harris the same thing. I think this weekend showed that there's still a little communication issue when a resident calls in and gets the information that they can't do anything, when in your policies that are written, that are public, says that any animal that's sick or injured is the jurisdiction of Caddo Parish Animal Mosquito Control, for a resident to call in and be given other information. There's a disconnect there. That's part of the reason there's a problem with the citizens and animal control working together, is because of the disconnect. I do understand. I grew up in a military family also. I got a 94-year-old grandfather, World War II POW, two Purple Hearts rejoined to fight in Korea. I do understand the military. I do understand that there are disconnects there too. It happens. But in the military, with the chain of command, if the disconnect is somebody that's telling everybody what to do, not listening to the chain of command, not following what the person that put them in that position told them to do, that person isn't in that position very long. It's been a long time. There's people that have been in positions in Caddo Parish way too long. They kind of get blinded by the fact that this is how it's always been done, and they're not open to the new ideas and the new ways that things are happening these days. Mentioning that, I'm going to step aside. Mr. Eric Hatfield, one of our constables, had some information. He brought it up a little bit earlier, but it was kind of messed up because we weren't sure how this whole thing worked. A little information on what's going on in the prison systems across the state, across the country right now, in regards to taking animals off the, basically off of death row and putting them into a position where they can be trained, housed, taken care of, and taught to do something for people that can't do for themselves or that need these types of animals that will have this training. So if you don't mind, I'm going to ask Mr. Hatfield to come up. Thank you for your time.
Move them to whole business every time. This is great.
Eric Hatfield, 10040 Loveland Court, Shreveport, Louisiana, 71106. I'd like to address the animal control issue again, as I guess I don't want to reiterate and go over the same thing I already said. I'd like to say, I guess I can tie this into the fact that in order for the constable's office to go out and do property standards and to go on calls with animal welfare concerns within our ward, we need the deputies that we have to do this. So we needed more deputies 3 or 4 years ago, so Sheriff Steve Prater went and met with Alan Seaball, and they supported a bill to make it to where the constables in Caddo Parish could have as many deputies they like. So when Steve Prater and Alan Seaball decided that we needed these deputies, we agreed that we needed these deputies and felt that we could better serve the constituents, and we've done that since then. There's been no problems. Also, what we did when we got those new deputies, we took deputies that were retired from Caddo Sheriff's Office, trained by Sheriff Steve Prater, and then deputies that were retired SPD officers, and that's who we have. So we have fully trained officers. This House bill came up, which pertains to us needing deputies for property standards. This House bill came up when a constable decided that he was going to run against the current sheriff. Once that came forward, then the sheriff decided that he went back to Alan Seaball and asked him if he would do away with the deputy constables. And Alan Seaball said no. Then he went to Greg Tarver. So he's gone to several people to do this, to do away with deputy constables who hear property standards issues and animal welfare concerns. So in other words, we have our deputy constables that hear these animal welfare concerns along with animal services and property standards are fully trained by the Caddo Parish Sheriff's Office until recently when the Caddo Parish Sheriff's Office has told us that we no longer can use their academy. Now, as far as untrained deputies, I've just learned that Caddo Parish Sheriff Steve Prater has sold over 330 Caddo Parish deputy badges, commissions, and wallets. They look just like this, a regular size badge, and he sold these commissions to the general public for $500 a piece. From so far, thus to date, I've not found one person out of that list of 330 people that has any law enforcement training whatsoever. These people have been stopped, pulled over, used these badges, exercised law enforcement powers. So, some of these individuals have provided me with their badges, and they bought 2 or 3 of them at a price of $500 a piece. I question the legality of that as to whether you can sell. I mean, is law enforcement in Caddo Parish for sale? Should you be able to buy a badge, buy a commission, and buy a wallet and use that to exercise the duties, whether they're out there doing property standards, animal welfare concerns, or anything? That should be left to constables, sheriffs, and people that are trained and that are law enforcement officers. So that's about all I have to say. I mean, I just think that I appreciate you giving the time to speak.
All right.
Thank you.
Commissioner Baker.
I just have an announcement.
Here, you have something else?
I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. Somebody have a question?
Not on the board for that? Commissioner Thibodeau, you on the board?
No, I just
for-
had an announcement.
No.
Okay, you can take them all off, Miss Hill. That's it, you can go.
Good, thank y'all. Thank y'all.
She needs a. They still
They still
talking.
have the floor.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, just one more. Swear, just real quick. It was last minute, but I promised Jim he could have a few minutes, and it's our future, you know. So it's kind of what I planned to begin with. Eric, I had him plan to talk about, you know, the future with inmates and animals, and then Jim Thornhill is going to come up and he's going to talk about animal training. And you know, I'm thinking of the future. I don't, you know, I know things are moving slow right now, but I wanna go someplace. So come on, Jim.
Let him talk.
Mr. President, thank you all for seeing me. James Thornhill, 3309 Trailview Circle, Houghton, Louisiana. You might ask why somebody across the river wants to come and talk with you, but because decisions like this have a way of trickling out, you know, rippling. All right, so there's this fella, okay, his name is Boudreaux.
No, I ain't got time.
He's got a buddy named Bubba.
Watch yourself, man.
And so he sells this dog, this duck dog, to Bubba because he needs some money, right? And so Boudreaux says, what makes this dog so worthwhile? And Bubba said, well, I think I got the names correct. Anyway, Bubba says, because he can tell you how many ducks is on the water. No way. He said, yeah. He said, took the feller and went down, and the dog comes back, barks twice. Puts 2 shells in his shoot gun, goes down, shoots a dog. That's it. The next day he does it again, but 3 times. So he buys the dog, takes his mama to go hunt. About a week later, Boudreaux asked him how the dog's doing. He said, man, I had to shoot that dog. I had to kill that dog in. And so Boudreaux said, why? He said, well, that dog came back and he was barking and he was slobbering and he picked up a stick. When he started running at Mama, I shot that dog. Boudreaux said, you fool, you. That dog was trying to tell you there's more duck on the water than you can shake a stick at. Okay? All right. What happens is, sometimes we don't understand what a dog's trying to tell us. Sometimes dogs can't understand what we're trying to tell them. Because dogs don't talk with vocal. Okay? But everything they do with their body means something. All right? The way that they look at you, the way you look at them, all these things mean something. Okay? My whole thought is, if we could get something going to where we could work within the facility, teaching volunteers and handlers the things that they need to know to better communicate with the dogs and show them things that they would need to have in their normal household. Crated, potty training, just some simple understanding. And then dogs that there's time with, sure, sit, heel, stay, come, all these other things. So that when it comes time to put these dogs out for adoption, okay, then there is more opportunity for these dogs that might not make it out. Okay? Now, there's a couple of ways to go about doing this. Haven't really gotten that far. The issue was brought up after the last open house at the Caddo Animal Control. All right? The one before last. Now, the situation was developing, it was growing, it was looking to bond as interest. And one day, pardon me 1 second, Charlie. Thank you for your service too, sir, very much. Sidebar, but it's important for you to understand, I suppose it's important for everybody to understand. My little sister's youngest son just lost his battle with depression and PTSD. Okay, we just sent him home last Thursday, full military honor. I'm Army brat. There's all kinds of things that goes on within the all of that stuff, okay? Now, back to what's important. I was talking with Director Harris. I made a simple mistake in judgment and talked to him as though I was talking to my best friend. Okay? When you're dealing with public, everybody hears kind of what they want to, and then until they get through it and cipher through it and then dig out the meaning that it was intended. Okay? I said something incorrectly, evidently, because that was the end of that phone call. Planning stopped, and then shortly thereafter, in the paper where they list the dogs' pictures, it began to type in half price at Red River Obedience Training. Okay? This was after I mentioned to him my idea of helping out over there at Caddo Animal Control. There's a couple of ways this could be done. Yes, it has to be worth my time, because otherwise I would go broke. Okay, I'm a dog trainer. Okay, it's what I do. Okay, so I'm always trying to find ways to reach more people. All right, because I have a program in place that's unique in this area. I go to people, work with them at their homes where their problems exist, and we talk about animal behaviors and all kinds of other things that they need to resolve certain problems, like defensive issues, or action through the form of force. It's commonly called aggression, but really it's defense. Okay, just different manifestations of it. So if I could incorporate one way, well, get people together to look at this a little bit deeper, I think a lot of dogs would make it out quicker, and a lot of people would learn more about the actual dogs, and then come together through that understanding. All right? Now, the thing with the prison system, every inmate there would strive to be the inmate that gets to do this. Okay, that's the highest. I worked down in Natchez, Louisiana. All Dogs Can was the one that was responsible for the pilot program between the Natchez Humane Society and the Parish prison. Okay, Sheriff Victor Jones and all that. Okay, all right. They have to do their best to be able to become part of this program. Okay, but then they also have to apply of themselves, same as anybody else. And so when you have inmates, you have, different individuals that you're dealing with and things like that. So in the meantime of getting all this set up, why can't we start working with the dogs where the dogs are on a specific day, maybe half in the morning or half in the evening or whatever, and begin to teach people what they need to know that are firsthand on the dogs to begin with. And so I just wanted to mention that and see if maybe y'all could get with Director Harris and maybe work on something towards this. I'd be more than happy and more than interested to dedicate a day out of my 7 to be able to help with this.
Yes, sir.
All right, I thank y'all very much for hearing me out, and thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Train it up.
That's all I have for y'all, unless you have some questions for me.
Thank you, Ms. Newell. We've got one commissioner that wants to speak.
What is the name of the program?
What was the name of the program? In Natchitoches?
And what days are you free to work at the animal shelter so that those can be made available for them to choose from?
Come on.
All my clients, or almost all of my clients, would be understanding. And thankfully, since I work in a self-employed company, thankfully I can adjust things. So what it would basically boil down to is when the volunteers, if it's teaching volunteers, when they could be there, okay? It's just a matter of getting together and setting it up. It's
So
not
they
a
could schedule
limited
it.
kind of thing.
So they could schedule it, he would rearrange his schedule.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Williams.
Thanks, Jim.
I know we want to try to find some common ground for some compromising here so we can move forward on this. I'd just like to know what is your plan for the future to try to bring some some common ground sense to stop this every week, every day.
I have one goal.
Every month. I mean,
I have one goal.
I just
have one.
Because this let me finish.
Oh, sorry.
This body is bigger than just, that's a very important issue to you. But promoting the general health and welfare of this district, providing jobs and economic opportunity for people is a big agenda. And everything, and what you're saying is a very critical issue in our community, because it's part of the community. And you're part of our community. As a taxpayer, we deserve to serve you, be the best server we know how to do up here. With your help and your input. We cannot do it alone.
That's why I'm here.
So, but to try to draw a line in the sand and say, how can we reach across here, and let's work together. Let's really be serious about working together. I'm talking about policies, I'm talking about Facebook, email, public relation, public communication. What can we do to have a better working relationship with the group that comes before us today? Because I really would like to move forward and have one of the best animal shelters in America, because you had input to help developing and shaping the policies and the population and those things. So that's what I want. That's what I want. That's what you want. That's what the public want.
Can we agree it's not quite the best yet, though?
Beg pardon?
Can we agree that it's not quite the best yet, though?
Well, we're working toward that.
We're working toward, yes, absolutely, and that's why I'm here.
Right.
The 78% kill rate is unacceptable. Is it acceptable to anybody in this room? 78% of the animals every year are killed. Is that acceptable to anyone?
So that's,
Okay. I know that no kill is not 100% possible. Brian explained why, okay? But as close as you can get, that's my goal. That's my goal.
what would it
That's all.
take?
That's it.
Policy, legislative
You
policy?
tell me. You're
What
the
would it
one we
take?
hired.
I mean, but
We hired you guys. I'm just here to try and encourage you to kind of, sort of, so all those wonderful things you said, yes, please, and can you do it
well, I
now?
like to sit down and tell you, give you my number and email. Let's try to talk and let's try to do something at the next
That's
meeting,
why I'm
have
here,
something.
though. I'm here to talk about it.
Well, we're not
but
gonna solve it right now.
Kind of illustrated.
It's a process, going to take a while, but let's
Let's
agree to.
And I promise I won't make
take
too much
pieces-
noise, and I am potty trained.
Let's take pieces by piece, all right?
Next item, Mr. Clerk.
Next, we move to new business. Authorize the introduction of ordinance number 5476, amending the budget investment revenues and expenditures for the Public Works Fund and Capital Outlay Fund for 2015 to provide an appropriation for the Ward 2 road extension.
Move to Thursday.
Yeah, one question. In the ordinance, why don't we list the price of the cost of the road extension?
Thought he did.
It is in the ordinance, if
It's
you
in
click
the
it. We're gonna meet on it after this meeting, economic development, to put the finishing touches on it for Thursday.
All right. Let's vote. That passes 10-0.
Authorize the introduction of ordinance number 5477, amending budget investment revenues and expenditures for Riverboat Fund. Provide a $5,000 appropriation for Huntington High School Band.
Move to Thursday, please, sir.
Second. Been moved by Commissioner Bowman, second by the chair. See no one wish to speak, let's vote. That passes 9-1.
Authorize the introduction of ordinance number 5478, declaring certain adjudicated properties to be surplus and authorize special administrator designee to sell tax interest.
So moved.
Second. Moved by Commissioner Escaday, second by Commissioner Dominique. See no one wish to speak, vote. That passes 10-0.
Authorize resolution number 24, urging the Louisiana legislature to enact state legislation opposing Environmental Protection Agency's implementation of the proposed new emission standards for the year during the 2015 legislative session.
Moved by the chair.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Escaday. Let's vote. That passes 10-0.
Authorize resolution number 25, recognizing and declaring May 2015 as Building Safety Month.
Passed by the chair.
Second. Move to Thursday.
By the chair. Moved by the chair, second by Commissioner Lynn. See no one wish to speak, let's vote. Commissioner Smith. Got to vote.
Sorry.
That passes 10-0.
Authorize resolution number 26, requesting Louisiana Legislature support House Bill 387, extend the state commercial tax credit program and state Louisiana Historic Tax Credit Act.
Moved by the chair.
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Lynn. See no one wish to speak, let's vote. That passes 10-0.
Authorize resolution number 27, authorizing Caddo Parish Administrator to consent to annexation by the city of Shreveport and certain right-of-way.
Move to Thursday.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Thibodeau, second by Commissioner Baker. Anyone that wishes to speak, vote.
Bowman.
I said Bowman, didn't
You said Baker.
I? Okay, Bowman. Y'all got my nerve bad.
Don't
Don't
know.
even-
Okay, somebody is not, okay, there you go.
Baker. She didn't do it.
Commissioner Lynn need to vote.
Excuse me.
That passes 10-0.
Authorize appointment, reappointment to the MPC Zoning Board of Appeals. Appoint one, Mr. Allen Berry, incumbent, Mr. Michael T. Newman, nominee.
Move both to Thursday. Second.
Moved by Commissioner Williams, second by Commissioner Baker. See no one that wishes to speak. That passes 10-0.
Authorize reappointments, Mr. Ricky Hall and Mr. Herbert Rogers Jr. to the North Shreveport Industrial Park Supervisory Board.
Moved by the chair. Second by Commissioner Dominique. See no one wish to speak. Let's vote. That passes 10-0.
Authorize approval of recommended changes to CBO, NGO appropriation guidelines and application.
Then move to Thursday.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Williams, second by Commissioner Bowman. Commissioner Baker.
Are we gonna see these changes before we vote?
They're
Just
attached.
click on your PDF.
They're attached to the,
Oh,
Modern technology.
oh, we got stuff.
that's why you have what you have.
Fine.
Let's
go.
vote.
Give me time to ask a question.
Bowman,
It's present.
that's 9-0. Somebody must have left.
Couple of people.
Stormy didn't vote.
Gage Watts.
Gage Watts.
It didn't show up.
Yes.
It's not on here
That's
anymore.
10-0.
10-0.
Yes.
Record show.
Authorize approval for Caddo Parish Animal Services to make available all dogs and
Move to
cats
Thursday.
pictures.
Second.
I got one question. You got other social media outlets. What is that?
No, it's just
First,
supposed to
I
be
heard
the,
it was Facebook. Now it's
no,
other
it's
social
supposed to be
media
the
outlets.
actual website that they use, the Parish site.
The Parish website.
Says Caddo website and other social media outlets.
I'm willing to change, to amend it to Facebook only and the Caddo Parish website.
What does Facebook add to the value? I mean, the Caddo website would be the one to go to.
I guess with, well, probably I guess with more.
We'll talk about it Thursday, but
Yeah,
let's
we'll
go
talk
ahead and
about
move
it,
it. But that's gonna be my question. Let's vote. That passes 9-1.
Authorize Louisiana Department of Veterans Affairs Secretary David Lassard as visitor for regular session.
So moved. Moved by Commissioner Dominique. Second by Commissioner Smith. See no one wish to speak. Let's vote. That passes 10-0.
Authorize Mr. Lester Smith as visitor for regular session.
So moved, but I asked that it be changed to, that's Miss Stormy Watts' constituent. He called me. We talked about it.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. Been moved by Commissioner Williams, second by Commissioner Dominique. Commissioner Escudé.
I have a question. Is he going to bring us some information regarding?
Oh, he just called me as a courtesy. He wanted to be on the agenda. And
He's doing the same thing Miss Noel.
I told him that I didn't want to disrespect her. And that's her constituent.
Call Elio Motors. We're not going to be able to tell him anything. All right.
So move third.
Let's vote. Vote. Let's see. Okay, 10-0. That passes.
Authorize Miss Caroline Newell as visitor for regular session.
Move to pull from the agenda.
Second.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Lynn. Second by the chair. I see no discussion. Let's vote.
Pull it?
Pull. Yes, pull.
Not even table it.
Baker, need you to vote?
We're hoping Commissioner Epperson will put it on old business every week.
No, that won't happen.
John wants
9-1. It passed.
Commission to convene into executive session to discuss litigation.
Wait a minute.
All right, I checked with her.
Vote Thursday? Is,
Right here.
When you want to move to third?
Let's move to third.
Let's move that to Thursday. Okay.
No, I thought that was today.
That's today, ain't it?
Yes. We can't move?
Okay. Well, before we do that, Sheriff Prater wanted to say something right quick. Then we'll go into executive
Are
session.
we going into executive session today?
Yeah.
How much?
You know, when you get in our jobs, you get pretty tough skin, but then when something's recorded, you like to set the record straight, even though it's laughable, some of the things you might hear. But anyway, I just wanted to straighten you out as far as 118 goes. Alan Seaball, we never met and talked about the bill before it was passed. He called me and asked me, would it be okay to have one deputy constable and I said, if you could make sure that they were post-certified. And he said, oh, I assure you they'll be post-certified. Well, turned out to be that was as many as you wanted, and none of them are post-certified. Or one or two might be, I don't know, but not the 18. So that part was wrong. The bill was filed 11 days before anyone announced that they were running for sheriff. It was formulated weeks before anyone announced. So to say it's political is not accurate at all. It may be political that's caused someone to run. I don't know. You'd have to ask them. But it's certainly not the bill. The bill might have caused something, but that's a misstatement also. The fact that there's a retired Shreveport policeman that's a deputy constable, that's not true. I know most of the policemen. I don't think there's a single one on there that's a retired policeman. I don't know. There may be one deputy sheriff that's retired under some special circumstances. I'm not sure. Justice for sale in Caddo Parish. I'm as Caddo Parish Sheriff, I've never given out a badge or a commission where the person was not fully insured, like these folks are not, was not fully trained, like these folks are not. And so I've never done anything like that. I cannot imagine doing something like that. 350 badges, that size, that's a pretty big badge. I don't know if I could afford that.
He said 330.
330? Oh, I'm sorry. But anyway, I just wanted to set the record straight, and I'm not going to run all around Caddo Parish setting the record straight every time something's said, because you just got to grow up and sometimes be thick-skinned. But I figured I'd go ahead and get this out on the table. I would appreciate a resolution supporting this. The Louisiana Sheriff's Association is going to be supporting it. Reggie Brown, who's head of the Constables Association, is supportive of it. So that says a lot right there. 7 of the 10 constables in Caddo Parish are supportive of it. And so that should tell you a little bit about what we're dealing with here. Thank y'all.
All right, thank you. The next item is to go into executive session. Do I have a motion?
So move to go into executive session after a 5-minute break.
I was going to put the 5 minutes on.
You got a name who you want in the room?
Yes, all the commissioners, the clerk, the attorney, the administrator, the finance director, the assistant parish attorney, and assistant parish administrator.
All right.
5-minute break.
Motion, who was the
No,
second?
we don't need no
Second
break.
by Commissioner Williams, first.
Vote to go into,
To go in.
We don't
Need
need
a
no
vote.
break.
Yes, need to vote, y'all.
We do need a break.
need to vote to go into executive session.
Okay, but,
Need to vote before we go.
without exception.
It's gonna take, like you said, it's gonna take some thick skin up and some courage up here, you know what I'm saying?
3, 4, 5. Who, Baker need to vote?
What? Mr. Bowman?
Yes, sir. Bowman need to vote.
Baker?
We gotta go? Okay. I'm just still in
Need to
shock.
vote, need to vote.
Need to vote.
Oh,
We need,
Sorry.
Ms. Baker? Need to vote?
She's in shock
vote,
too.
please.
She don't even know where she is.
That's it.
Y'all have a quorum if I leave?
That's 9.
Y'all have a quorum if I leave?
Yes.
But I don't decide.
On 118?
Can we,
118?
we doing it today?
5-minute vote, recess.
No, we have to
Okay.
do an
Why
agenda
you
addition.
recess?
Probably
We
won't.
need a break.
Gotta breathe.
For what?
Gotta read over here.